Session 3 of the 1986 Indy Super Pole number 13 will feature the 5,000 Superstock class, the 5,800 two-wheel drive trucks, and the 7,000-pound modified tractors. Hi, everybody. My name is John Arvin, and I'm here to bring you the action along with Dave Grimm.
Well, John, it's great to be back for session number 3, and we've got 3 super exciting classes this afternoon. The 5,500-pound Superstock is the lightest weight Superstock class, but in many cases is the most exciting because we've got a wide variety of different colored tractors, including Internationals and Alice Chalmers. We've got a Deutz, an Oliver, even a Cockshut 570, so a wide variety of makes and brands there, and I think it's going to be close competition in that class. Then we go to one of the up-and-coming classes at NTPA competition, the two-wheel drive trucks. The champions are here, including Chris Holdorf, Dwayne Stowe, Jeff Brockman. We've got them here from Florida and Georgia, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania and Virginia. So a wide variety of equipment there, and they'll make a lot of noise. They'll be like the modified tractors, which we will have as our third class, the 7,200-pound class. And certainly we're going to see twin Allisons. We're going to see the Aries engines, the Rodex, the Chevrolets. It's an action-packed show here for session number 3.
And we'll be seeing drivers who have performed in earlier sessions going for some of their second championships of this 1986 Indy Super Pole. So session number 3 promises to be exciting, and we will be along to bring it to you. Session 3 ready to begin with the 5,000-pound Superstock tractors.
We start off with one of Indiana's best from Lynn, Indiana, Jim Acton with an International 666. Very popular tractor in the 5,000 and 7,000 pound Superstock. Now these machines come from the factory at about 60 to 70 horsepower, and they're cranking them somewhere over 1,000 horsepower right now. Some of them with as many as 3 turbochargers on them. In the 5,000 pound Superstock, he leads the line. This will be one of the most exciting classes of the weekend. Drifts a little bit left of center. Everything is working very nicely for him. He calls it Dust Devil, and John, that was a real good straight pull, maybe a little nose heavy out there, but when you're the test puller, that's the way I think you normally like to have it.
You can take a few chances like that when you're the first man to pull, because you know you do have that option to drop later if you want to. He'll be right around 200 feet for that pull. We'll have to wait to see if he decides to take it or not.
Well, our track is 234 feet long, so that will be a full pull. Anybody that can go past the 234-foot mark or the end of the track will be a full pull. We've had a couple of those here already this weekend. The Dust Devil. As we watch the replay here, of course, the lightweight tractors will try to make as straight a runs as possible because that big sled weighing about 40,000 pounds behind the tractors is a lot to pull, but these lightweight Superstocks do an excellent job as he pulls off the track. 195, 1.7 for Acton.
Next up in the Superstock class, session 3, David J. Marino from Macon, Missouri.
John, this is an Alice Chalmers D17. He has converted it to alcohol, so we're not using the smoke tube here this afternoon. This tractor is a good 20 years old. He's making a good straight run. A lot of these tractors have been converted. The Orange Blossom Special making an excellent pull as we restart the 5,000-pound Superstock class. Excellent run, and didn't take quite as much time to hook up to the weight transfer machine because we didn't have to hook up the smoke machine.
So that makes things move along a little bit faster. We did have a restart in the class, and so David J. Marino could be the first official distance of the class. And this is on replay.
This is a real good straight run, very smooth. You can see the big 30.5-inch tires on the rear of the tractor getting a bite. He was bouncing a little bit in the front. He was able to steer. He had it very properly balanced, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to have to pull that sled from left to right all that much because it is a tough load back there, weighing in about 45,000 pounds today. 223, 6.1 the distance. He takes the lead as we restart, and John, looks like they've got a nice sled setting.
On deck now, Dennis Braybeck from Lawrence, Iowa, another Alice Chalmers tractor.
The Braybeck brothers and family farm about 1,000 acres of corn and soybeans in the northwest corner of the Hawkeye State. Dennis Braybeck has been a 5-time Grand National Pulling Circuit champion. He's been at all 13 of the Indy Super Pulls and is a Grand National champion in the 5,000-pound super stock class. It's an AC 180. He has to be, John, one of the favorites in this class. They've won 4 times here at the Indy Super Bowl. He makes a very smooth start, although he looks a little nose heavy. The distance to beat, 2:23, 6.1. I don't know. It's going to be close. An excellent run, but he tended to look a little nose heavy out there, John. The front end of the tractor just never picked up.
And that's a very good run for the weight distribution that he has. If he had been able to get the front end of that tractor up and transfer the weight back, he may have just pulled it right off.
Well, if he had it to do all over again, he might have moved 100 pounds from the front to the rear. Dennis Brabeck, former president of the National Tractor Pullers Association.
Here it is on the replay, and as Dave mentioned, you'll see that the front wheels never do really come off the ground during the run.
Well, he's one of the highest horsepower tractors in this class. They've always run very dependable. 224, 7.1. They take the lead by 13 inches. 224, 7.1. Your new leader over David Marino.
With the early pace being set by Dennis Brabeck, now we have coming to bat Bert Stauffer from Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Several Pennsylvania pullers here.
Well, from the Pennsylvania Dutch country of southeastern Pennsylvania, the strongest Deutz running tractor in the country today, a Deutz 80006, now called an Alice Deutz, of course, or Deutz Alice, however you prefer, with the merger of the 2 companies. Bert Stauffer, they've been Grand National point champions before. This, of course, is an air-cooled engine. The tractor built in Germany. Very dependable, very smooth. And they'll give the Brabecks a run for their money. They make a good start. Here again, maybe a little nose heavy, but now they're beginning to pick up. This is going to be a close race to the end. No, they're going to come up short. And they're going to be at least a good 10 to 15 feet short.
And that should land them in 3rd place. Once again, a little bit of lift on the front end of that tractor, but nobody's taking too many chances so far and moving some of that weight back.
John, that's what we've seen this week, that you've got to take chances out there. The track is getting a good bite, but you got to bring up that front end. They don't want to do big wheelies as we watch the replay here. He drifted a little bit to the left, but a pretty smooth run.
And here is the distance. Comes out 208, 11.9. 208 feet, 11.9, and that will be good for 3rd place at this point in the class. Bert Stauffer. Lyle Hall is next up from Waupun, Wisconsin, and he has individual tractor in the class, the only one of its kind.
It's a very special kind, John. It's called a Minneapolis Moline 5-star. Now, in many circles, this would be considered a relic or an antique, but a lot of these guys can pick up a tractor like this very reasonable, do a lot of engine work to it, and make a very competitive tractor. Here it is, an alcohol burner, so we don't need the smoke machine, but you can see he just did not have the motor making any power. It was coughing and sputtering down there. He did not go 75 feet, so as the rules state, he'll be able to back up and try it one more time. John, at one time, these super stock tractors were used in the fields at home, but not anymore. They're all professional pulling machines, and Lyle is having trouble bringing off the line. There he catches the live. Now it comes to life. It might be a little late, though, as he heads for our table. Oh, John. And he's going to spin out, and you've got to believe if he could have come off the line with the engine working properly, that he would have been right down there close to a full pull, but he did not have the alcohol air mixture just right. It coughed for the first 75 to 100 feet before it came to life.
This will be a replay we'll want to take a look at. The Northern Star, he calls it, and there you can see early, there it catches right there, right around 75 feet, and drifts towards the left side of the track and nearly went out of bounds. He had to pump that brake.
You could see his right foot was really pushing hard on the brake, and sometimes it's hard to bring it around, even though they've got pretty good brakes on them.
And it comes up as a 187 and 2/10 of an inch. 187 and 2/10 for Lyle Hall. James Parker is next up in one of the Oliver tractors in this class.
It's an Oliver 1650, John. Jim is from Castalia, Ohio, just south of Lake Erie in the Buckeye State. This is a diesel, so they hooked up the smoke machine. Of course, the Oliver brand later on became white tractors. So he's ready to pull the Dave Hager Counter NC Plus hybrid sled down the track now. And this was a very popular tractor in the 5,000 and 7,000 pound classes over the years. A lot of these tractors will run in the 7,000 pound class later on in our 5th and final show here at Indy Super Bowl 13. He wants to build plenty of boost. Some of these tractors in the lightweight classes will build around 100 to 125 pounds. Last night we saw the big heavy ones build as much as 240 pounds of boost. Here he comes off the line. And he's lifting a little bit, making a good run. Oh, it's looking good at the end. Oh, looking great, heading for the corner, Oh, I tell you, John, one of the best runs of the afternoon, and it's going to be close now for the lead.
And Dave, he's spilling oil or water, some kind of fluid from underneath his tractor. Looks like, I can't tell if a hose broke or not, but I could see some kind of fluid dripping down from the bottom of the tractor. That was one of the best looking runs we've seen today. He did get the front end up off the ground a little bit and had it just about where he wanted it, but drifted to the right some.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what this distance comes in at, because the distance to beat is Dennis Brabeck at 2:24, 7.1.
And here it is. It's a 2:20, 10.8.
John, that puts him in 3rd place. Brabeck still in the lead. Marino in 2nd at 2:23, 6.1. And Jim Parker now goes into 3rd at 220, 10.8.
Jim Acton, who was the test puller in this class from Lynn, Indiana, has dropped 6 positions and is now getting set to pull again.
John, this will be interesting to see whether he can better his original run of 195, 1.7. As we marked it down, Jim Acton with the International 666. Very competitive tractor, and I would say one that the other drivers will be looking at. The Dust Devil, the aluminum wheels on the front and the rear. It's a good-looking Case International tractor. As he comes off the line, you'll notice they slip the tractor off the line before they really pour the fuel to it, wanting to get those tires locked into the track. He might have moved a little bit of weight to the rear. He's making a great straight run. Oh, boy. And John, he's going to come up short, but I tell you, it's almost a perfect run.
Yeah,
maybe not quite enough horsepower right there at the end of his run.
And he did beat the old run, the first run he had of the day of 195, and so as far as that goes, the gamble paid off. And as you say, a nice piece of driving right down the center of the track. Here it comes on replay.
Well, of course, we did change the sled after he made that original run, because that also put another 30 feet on it.
Sure.
That helped things because we restarted the class, and that's why he dropped 6.
And the distance is 216 feet, 4.7 inches, 216, 4.7. And I believe at first glance that will put him in 3rd place. Dennis Brabeck continues to lead the class, and P.C. Long of Bevier, Missouri is up now.
Well, from that French town out there in the heartland of America with his International 686. Now, all of these guys are good in this class. They've got plenty of power. They've got the driving skill. The guy that can get locked in this afternoon has got a shot. PC's won a number of NTPA national and regional events over the years, but he's running rough this afternoon. The alcohol burner is coughing. Believe it or not, look how far he's going. Think what would have happened if the engine had come to life.
It never really did get going, but he's still got a strong pull out of it. It's not going to be good enough to put him into the top 3 positions.
He coughed and sputtered all the way down the track. And get a load of that side shield. Maybe we can get the camera on it, John. It's a beautiful tractor. He's done a lot of work on it over the years.
The Mayor's Toy, P.C. Long from Bevier, Missouri. Here it is on replay. You can see that he never built up much tire speed, didn't get the front end off the ground. He's a little bit nose heavy, and perhaps he's not a little bit nose heavy, but he never got the power to get it up off the ground.
Well, they're running a lot of weight right out there in the front, which normally says that the track is taking some power, and that's what it is today. 209 feet, 1.9 inches. 209, 1.9.
The last international tractor in the class, Tom Urmson from Bakerstown, Pennsylvania, in the Pittsburgh area.
Tom's an international, a graduate of Penn State University in engineering, and he knows how to make this alcohol burner come to life. Won a number of Grand National pulls on the NTPA circuit, and he has won here at the Super Bowl before. Tommy Urmson with an international 460. He's coughing and wheezing a little bit, but running pretty smooth. And watch the front end come up. Look at him go! Look at him go! By Whoa, pole! And he does it again. That's the the way Tom Urmson has pulled for many years of NTPA competition. Wow, John, that gets exciting.
And that was just about as opposite as from the last run as we could get. A lot of tire speed, a lot of power all the way through the run, and got that front end up off the ground. We'll see that on the replay when it comes up. Here it comes.
He really has this tractor properly balanced. Now, he does a dance on the starting line, and all of a sudden the front end comes up, and he's locked in the turn of the tires. And look at him come out the gate. Wow, he's excited.
There, I told you so.
Yeah.
Full pull for Tom Urmson, and that puts him in the lead. We're about halfway through the 5,000-pound super stock class, and Tom Urmson has set the pace now with a full pull. Here comes Ivan Carroll from Clarence, Missouri.
Another alcohol burner. This will bring back some memories for the farmers that are watching this program. Cockshut 570 was a very popular tractor where the rear ends were used in modified pulling. He's having trouble coming off the line. The levee leaper has stopped. He did not go 75 feet, and they're going to say you'll have to back up and try it one more time. John, this is his final attempt now. He's got to make it a good one, and he does. He's off the line. The alcohol burner is starting to come to life, the levee leaper, but he doesn't have the tire speed. The sled is just not moving that fast down the track, and he's going to come to a halt shy of the 200-foot mark. He's got to paint it up very nice, and the drivers take great pride in their tractors. Probably 75% of the drivers in the super stock classes are farmers. They like to have them looking good, even though they may be 20, 25 years old. These tractors, they don't have quite the investment in them as some of the big super stock machines like in the 9 and 12 as he's directed off the track.
And if we see a replay of that one, we'll see a lot of up and down motion in the run. Never did get a lot of tire speed, as you said. And here you'll see him bounce up and down, and he's going to lose even what power he has doing that.
Well, the engine is coughing on him a little bit. He's not getting the proper air and fuel mixture, and it comes and goes, so to speak, at 189 feet, 2.8 inches for Ivan Carroll out of Missouri.
And now we have several Hoosiers remaining in the class, and one of them from Edinburgh, Indiana, is David Chrisman.
Just south of the Indianapolis area where he farms for a living. Dave Chrisman has pulled an NTPA competition for over 10 years with his Alice Chalmers 180. And there's none looks any better than the one he's got right there, all shined up with the silver shields. This guy could do it, John. If you were a betting person, you might put a couple of shekels on Dave Chrisman with the Alice Chalmers 180. He'll make a very nice slow start as those Firestone tires get a bite. Oh, yeah, what a nice start. He brings that clutch out, and it's looking good.
He's going to spin out right here in front of us a little past the 200-foot mark. He got a little more tire speed. The tire speed didn't look too bad, but never did get the front end up. It doesn't look to be that heavy on the front end.
Well, he's got to come up 50 feet short of a full pull, and that's not normally the way Dave Chrisman runs. Let's see if we can pick up any of the things that might have happened out in the track. Maybe he should have moved 100 back. But these guys have run hundreds of pulls down the track, and they know how to weight their tractors better than you and I do, John, so we can only second guess them a little bit.
That's right. Here it is. It's a 201 3.5, 201 feet, 3.5 inches. And so Tom Urmson continues to lead with the full pull. John Deere tractor fans have one chance for victory in this class, and this is it.
It only takes sometimes one chance, John. For Roger Buss out of Napanee, Indiana, John Deere tractors have always been feared if they can get them light enough for the 5,000-pound super stocks. And when we broadcast the 7,000-pound class in our fifth and final session, we're going to see even more John Deeres who are really tough in the 7,000-pound class. But of course, Deere, I think, maybe nationwide has been somewhat the sentimental favorite over the years. And it's been a rough road to hoe the last 7 or 8 years in NTPA competition against the internationals. But I think Roger's got as good a chance as anybody. Here again, it's an alcohol burner. We've had about 3 or 4 of those in the class, and they've looked pretty good if they can iron out the bugs and get the fuel and the air mixture just right.
Starting to build up the manifold pressure now, and here he's away from the starting line. A nice smooth start. Front end comes up early. Now he's got it up.
Believe it or not, he keeps making a pretty good pull. Can you believe that? If that engine had run right, he'd have taken it right out and made a full pull. He'd have taken it right past the end zone of the track.
But as we've seen with some of the other alcohol burners, it never really did seem like the engine kicked in and got the full power. It was kind of sputtering once again. Here it is on replay.
Now, sometimes, John, that works in your favor if the engine does not run right, because you want to get your tires locked into the track. Sometimes if you spin them too fast, you'll set on the top of the track and spin. So it might have worked to his advantage in that particular case.
And he gets a pull of 212 feet. 11.2, 212, 11.2 for Roger Buss, and the only John Deere tractor in the class.
4 tractors to go in the 5,000-pound Superstock.
Time starting to run out in the 5,000-pound Superstock class. 4 more competitors, and now we're ready to see Arnold Baker from Milton Vale, Kansas.
On an Allis-Chalmers 180, quick tabulation, John, shows that we have 5 ACs, 3 Olivers, 1 John Deere, 1 Minneapolis Moline, 3 Internationals, 1 Deutz, and 1 Cockshut in this class. Certainly the biggest variety of Superstock tractors that we've seen this weekend. Arnold Baker, Harold Volland, Terry Wood, and Dennis Lucas, the 4 remaining tractors. Oh, he makes a nice start. Oh, he's on it. He's got the tires turning. Front end is coming up. He's properly balanced. This could be close. Go, 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 go. We've got a tie for the lead. A tie for the lead now. Case International and Allis-Chalmers have now tied for the lead, and we'll go into a pull-off for sure in this class, John.
Arnold Baker could have pulled the sled off into the pit area with that one. He pulled the sled on past the finish line and had to get on the brakes to stop the thing. A lot of power in that run. Here's the replay.
Well, the Kansas puller's excited, very jubilant down there at the end of his run as we watch the replay. He went to the left. A lot of guys, in fact, the entire weekend have pulled to the left. What he's doing right now is heading for the corner. And he made it. He kept it in bounds by about 4 feet.
And so Arnold Baker and Tom Urmson will be in the pull-off, and we're yet to see if there will be anybody to join them.
Well, the last 3 tractors, Harold Volland, Terry Wood, and Dennis Lucas, are all top-notch competitors. We could have more.
Couple of Oliver tractors left in the competition here in this class. Harold Volland of Columbus, Indiana, has one of them.
Well, it's one of the best running 1952 tractors that you'll ever see, John. Oliver 88 was a very popular brand. We don't see quite as many nowadays as we did 5, 6 years ago in the 5,000-pound Superstock class, but he's a good one. Harold Volland out of Columbus, Indiana, just south of Indianapolis, is on it. Boy, look at him cranking it. It's an alcohol burner. John, I thought he might have enough for the end, but not quite.
Probably the best performance by the alcohol-burning engines we've seen in the class. A good strong pull. And,
except for Tom Urmson.
Right, yeah. right. The name of the tractor is Repeat. So that makes you think that Pete must be somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you, Pete is going to be coming up, and we'll see Pete in just a little bit. It'll be the sister tractor of the Oliver 88 we see going down the track right now, Harold Volland.
And as you can see, a good strong pull. Not a lot of lift on the front end. He never did get up very high, but he's going to come up with a pull of 220 feet and 1.3 inches. 220, 1.3 for Harold Volland. Next up is Terry Wood. I believe he's from Fountain City, Indiana.
Well, Terry's an engineer for Allis-Chalmers Corporation, a graduate of Purdue. He knows the inside of this 301 cubic inch motor as well as anybody because he's worked on them and helped engineer the design of it. And this guy is a cool, collected player in this Superstock game of tractor pulling with his AC 190. He is one of 5 AC 180s and 190s here today, ready to turn it loose. He's the guy to watch. Only 2 to go yet in the class as he gets ready to pull the counter sled, weighing in at about 45,000 pounds this afternoon. He comes off the line. He turns it. He's got to work the brakes. Look at the wheelie. It's going to be close. Going to be close. John, just the 100 pounds of weight on the front would have kept it down, but he got to bouncing up and down, losing the drawbar, and he's only going to be short about 10 feet of making a full pull. Little disappointing. You can see him gritting his teeth out there as he raises his hand, signaling that his hands are off the controls of the tractor. It looks good in the first half of his run, John, except he got erratic. Then the front end came up, and he missed the weight by 100 pounds.
Front end got very high, and here's the distance. It's 2:21 and 2.9. 2:21, 2.9 for Terry Wood. One more competitor. Dennis Lucas in an Oliver tractor is the last competitor of the class, and if he wants to continue, he'll have to get the full pull.
Well, they have already brought in now Tommy Ermson and Arnold Baker, the two tractors that are in the pull-off so far, as they warm up their diesel tractors and alcohol burner over there. So Dennis Lucas, the other half of the Vollen and Lucas team out of Seymour, Indiana. And Harold Vollen and Dennis Lucas, just two of the fine gentlemen in NTPA competition that we've ever seen. And they've gotten the most out of these Oliver 88s over the years. They've also run an Alice Chalmers on several occasions. This is the Pete. We've already seen the repeat. And the green flag comes out from our starting flag, but Andy Main on the 75-foot mark. Here we go now. It's going to take an awfully good run for Dennis Lucas as it comes to life. The alcohol burner, he's got some speed. Got some speed. If he can keep that engine running, keep pumping the air in there, keep pumping the fuel. Close, but not quite enough, John.
Awfully close. Awfully close. He had a good, strong run. Another good performance for the alcohol burner.
He can be very happy, and he made a good straight pull as we get ready to watch the replay here.
Not a lot of lift on the front end on this one. But as you say, the engine did jump to life, and he pulled it very close to the end of the track. Here's the reading, 228, 228. 8.3.
Only 6 feet shy of a full pull.
And I believe, as I make a quick check of the distances, that will put him in third place. So that could be an important distance for Dennis Lucas.
And John, we're getting ready for the pull-off between Tommy Ermson and Arnold Baker.
It's time for the showdown here in the 5,000-pound Superstock class in Session 3. Tom Ermson and Arnold Baker in the pull-off.
International versus Alice Chalmer, a real dogfight right here to the end. One's the diesel. This one is the alcohol burner of Tommy Ermson. So here we go. It's the pull-off. We get right down to the nitty-gritty of the sport. We're going to find out who's champion here for Session 3 in the 5 Super. As Ermson comes to life, the front end is up. I tell you, John, it's going to be a tough run to beat.
That was a good pull. He's spewing a little bit of fluid from the back part of the engine. I saw a little bit dripping from the bottom as he was bouncing up and down. There was quite a bit of up and down motion on that run.
They speeded up the gear in the weight transfer machine on the sled of Dave Hager's old Ironside, and the box just nearly topped out, and he stops just past the 200-foot mark. So that meant when they changed the gears, that they adjusted it about 50 feet difference, a 50-foot margin. As we get the distance, 203 feet, 7.4 inches for Tom Ermson from Bakerstown, Pennsylvania. And you can see the replay there as he is at the end of his run. Good pull. It's going to be a tough one to beat, but the guy that can do it, he's been there before, Arnold Baker.
Arnold Baker has to beat a distance of 203, 7.4 inches.
We've had an excellent class here this afternoon, John. I don't think I can remember ever seeing a better 5,000-pound Superstock. Anytime that you can set the sled that you have only 2 out the gate, and that's a credit not only to the tractors that are pulling the sled, but also Dave Hager, the operator of the NC Hybrid Plus sled, Old Ironside. So here we go, the final competitor, Arnold Baker. He's got to beat 203, 7.4 if he wants to win it. He comes off the line, tires screaming. Down the left-hand side, it's going to be a close race to the finish. It's going to be close, very close. And John, it's too close to call right now. We do not have a footage marker on our side of the track, but I'm going to say that this is within 18 inches to 2 feet.
We'll have to wait for the laser on that when they placed a checkered flag at the mark that he had to beat, and he is very, very near to it. They're right in front of us here. We don't have the reading yet. It's a good run. Here it comes on replay.
We're using the laser measuring system, so we'll get an extremely accurate record here this afternoon. Arnold Baker, I think, making a very fine pull. Here again, a lot of the pullers have been pulled to the left-hand side of the track as he pumps the brake. They don't want to touch the brake as if they can help it. And John, we have just received the distance. There it is, your winner, 205 feet, 1.4 inches. 4 inches, rather, Arnold Baker. And Alice Chalmer has beat Tommy Urmson here. Arnold, you look calm and collected here at trackside after winning the 5,000-pound Superstock, but I know inside you're a happy guy.
Oh, yeah, this is it for me. I've been trying for 5 years to do this.
This is the first time you've ever won at the Super Bowl.
Second's the best I've done till today.
All right, when you saw Tommy Urmson make that full pull earlier this afternoon, did you think that you had a shot of tying him?
Oh, if the tractor ran all right and everything went good, it could.
Were you getting a good bite on the track?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a real good track here.
Taking a lot of horsepower?
Yeah, maybe more power the second time. Seemed like it pulled harder.
Well, congratulations to Arnold Baker of Missouri.
All right, we have some more pedal pull action to pass along here during session number 3. This time, at this time, we'll be seeing action in the 41 to 50 pound class. And we'll go back over a few of the rules here in the pedal pull. These youngsters who you'll be seeing today have competed in the Indiana State Fair. Each one of them came and pulled in the Indiana State Fair, and these are some of the top pullers from the Indiana State Fair. Here are some of the rules. Let me run down those real quickly as Ryan Longyear of Kendallville, Indiana, gets ready for the first pull of this class. The rules say no jerking. If you go out of bounds, you're disqualified. If the tractor breaks, you get a second try. When forward motion stops, that's the end of the pull. Only the driver is allowed on the track, so over-enthusiastic mothers and brothers and fathers have to stay off of the track.
Hey, here he goes. He's getting good traction there in the 41 to 50 pound range. Ryan Longyear out of Kendallville, Indiana. We've got an all-Indiana show, incidentally, this afternoon here in the pedal pull.
And there it is. He spins out near the full pull mark. I believe that black line that we see is their full pull mark.
And Dad congratulates him. So does Go-Go.
A couple of other rules. In case of a tie, just like with the big tractors, there will be a pull-off. And in case of more than one full pull, they will add weight to the sled, just as they do with the big tractors. And our next competitor in the class is J. Robert Bell from Flora, Indiana, and it looks like he's got a good pull going.
It's the northwest part of the Hoosier State. And hey, he's going to hit the line.
There it is. That's a full pull. So J. Robert Bell comes up with the full pull, and he has the early lead in the class.
He may be on his way to stardom in tractor pulling competition, John.
You never know where this kind of thing is going to start. Climbing into the saddle now is Richard Long from Terre Haute, Indiana, and once again, he looks like he's on the lower end of that 41 to 50 pound scale. He's away on his pull. He fits that tractor pretty well. He's got a good pull going too.
Oh, wow. Hit her one more time.
Oh, almost. Very close.
About 3 inches short, John. Did they give it to him?
It sounds like they may have given him the full pull.
We heard the track announcers here, Ed Johnson and Les Hauk, announced to the audience that it was a full pull.
So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Here's a young lady involved in the competition, Erica Jo Schultz from Greenfield.
You can see that she's starting shy of the line. I think they placed the wheels at the rear of the track, and hey, look at her go. Hey, she may be an Olympian someday, but she kept the tires spinning.
A little bit short on that one, but no lack of effort on the part of Erica Jo Schultz. Steve Berkey's up next. He's from Valparaiso, Indiana, and here's one that's definitely on the lighter end of that 41 to 50 pound scale.
Well, I know as soon as my son sees the tape of this show, he'll be over here at Super Bowl next year wanting to enter the competition. He'll be 6'10". Look at this. Hey, weight box keeps coming forward. Going to be close. Keep her going there, Steve.
I think they gave him a full pull also. So Steve Berkey comes up with a full pull, and we have 3 contestants who will have to be involved in a pull-off. So far, J. Robert Bell, Richard Long, and Steve Berkey all in the pull-off.
Well, the drivers in this class are psyched. This is their big moment. This is what they've been waiting now for probably 3 days.
And Jeremy Quinn is away from the starting line. Jeremy's from Alexandria, Indiana, and he's got a strong pull going. And that's a full pull for Jeremy.
It's a big pull-off.
Perhaps the sled is a little bit light, Dave.
Well, you know, it's fun to see these kids compete, and they like to make full pulls.
And now another young lady in the competition, Brandy Gladish from Petersburg, Indiana.
Everybody in life needs as many full pulls as they can make.
That's
right.
That they need. Everybody needs a chance to succeed and dominate if they have that opportunity. Brandy's going to come up a little bit short.
Girls having a tough time here this afternoon. I don't think they're lacking any leg power. They may lack a few pounds for traction there on the rear tires.
That could be.
What they need is a couple of those big, some tires that are about 6 inches wide. A couple of big slicks back there.
She gets a good handshake from Gogo the Gorilla.
Gogo can shake hands with about 5 people at one time with paws like that.
Michael Thompson from Clayton, Indiana. It's very near where I live. He's set to go.
They don't have to hook up the smoke machine on these. I really like this class.
They turn them around pretty quickly, don't they? There goes Michael. He's pumping hard. Look at him pump.
Some of these are gassers. Some of these are alcohol burners. Oh, look at that.
Full pull.
Hey, he really did take it all the way.
And he looks exhausted. That was a tough trip, but he's going to have to come back and be in the pull-off. The last contestant of the class is Lori Sizemore from Logansport, Indiana. And we already have 5 in the pull-off. We'll see if Lori can join those 5. She's away from the starting line. Elbows out in true form, making room for those knees. And she's going to come up short. She spins out, and so we should have a pull-off, including 5 youngsters in the 41 to 50 pound class. J. Robert Bell, Richard Long, Steve Berkey, Jeremy Quinn, and Michael Thompson all should be coming back for the pull-off. And here's our first contestant in the pull-off of the 41 to 50 pound class in the pedal pull. This will be Jay Bell, J. Robert Bell. As the weight's been added, Jay is away from the starting line. And he won't get the full pull this time as he spins out with that extra weight.
One of the top competitors with a Ford product, Chris Holdorf from Central Florida, who's wrestled alligators. He likes to go out and goof around in the Everglades, John, and he loves to pull. He likes to win. He doesn't like to finish in 2nd or 3rd place. That's his goal this afternoon, is to win. Chris Holdorf, Florida Cracker. Well, he really did a big wheelie out there as he drifted to the left-hand side, and he's going to turn that run down. We saw him mention to the track officials he doesn't like it, and he's going to drop 6 positions.
The Florida Cracker from Gator Country. That's what he calls his truck. Here it is. Here it is on the replay. He did get off the ground around the 100-foot mark, and then we'll see him really pop the front end up a little bit later. There it goes, way up in the air.
He's really losing a lot of drawbar back there, and then she bounces up and down a couple times. He likes to lift that front end, but only about 3 feet off the ground rather than 5 feet.
And he signaled right away to the NTPA officials that he's going to drop 6 positions and come back later. He's not going to take that pull.
211 feet, 1.9 inches. John, let's store that in our memory here. But he's turning the run down, so he'll drop 6 positions in this class and come back a little bit later on. And only the test puller has the option to do that. He can either come back and run right away, or he can drop 6.
We're going to look at one more.
Here comes the next competitor in the 2-wheel drive class, driving the Bad Dog, Dwayne Stowe from Warrenton, Georgia.
Well, Dwayne is Ford all the way. It has been really coming on strong in 1985, and as we move into the 1986 season with a 68 Ford. Dwayne Stowe from Warrenton, Georgia, he has shut it down. I don't know if he has a problem with the engine.
now ready to pull it away. He's Ford to Georgia, the one of 2 Fords in the class, the other belonging to Chris Holdorf.
Well, the Fords come right out number 1 and 2 here. They have not made a decision on the sled as of yet if we're in the right gear or not, but we're going to watch one more. Here we go. Bad Dog from Warrenton, Georgia. And boy, I thought he may have broken the front end. He came down awfully hard out there.
He was drifting towards the left sideline. We'll look for the signal of whether or not the officials are going to go with the sled at this setting and what Dwayne Stowe wants to do.
I saw him look over at his brother. He's happy with that run.
It was a good, solid run. He did cut the engine out right here at the end as he got close to the sideline, perhaps worried about going out of bounds. We'll see it here on the replay. Comes away from the line slowly and smoothly. Then the front end will pop up. Here's the distance. 208.1.
Well, John, he was angling for the corner, and when they do that, they start drifting, and there's a point where they don't want to bring it around too far, so they head for the corner.
So Dwayne Stowe takes a 208.1.1. Jeff Brockman now from New Haven, Indiana, in a unique truck in the class. It's the only international truck in this 2-wheel drive class in session 3. Brockman, the second official puller in the class. He's away from the starting line. And a very strong pull for Jeff Brockman. Got the front end well up into the air around the 150-foot mark. And it's going to do well. It'll put him up near the lead.
Well, Jeff Brockman, the son of Jim and Cheryl Brockman from New Haven, Indiana, up near the Fort Wayne area with his international panel van. This is the 1949 International, running a Rodeck aluminum block motor. Good straight run. Now it begins to lift. He really lifts higher than I think they wanted to go, but in the 2-wheel drive class, this seems to be a way of doing things. Get that front end up, and he takes the lead at 214 feet and 7/10 of an inch. About 6 feet ahead of Dwayne Stowe from Georgia.
And the first Chevrolet in the 2-wheel drive class in session 3, Richard McPherson from Circleville, Ohio.
Dick's a farmer, farms about 1,000 acres of corn and soybeans and wheat just south of the Buckeye capital of Columbus. Dick's been pulling for many years, originally with a single-engine modified dragster tractor. Then he went to a twin. But in the last couple of years, he's come out with this 1983 Chevrolet pickup truck with a supercharged alcohol burner under the hood. Now, he's definitely one to be reckoned with here this afternoon. The distance to beat, 2:14, 7:10. Here he goes, Dick McPherson. John, anytime we see this many wheelies out here this afternoon, we know they're getting a tremendous bite. The higher those front ends come up, the more bite they're getting. They want to get as much weight out there in the front to hold it down, and they don't have the weight to play with. A good pull for Dick. He's going to be past the 200-foot mark by just a couple of feet, but he's going to be shy of our leader, Jeff Brockman.
He got on it hard and early. The tires had a lot of speed very early in the pull, and there he's way up in the air. He'll come down and pop up again. There you see it, and so like you say, getting a lot of bite in the track and pulling the front end of that truck up.
But he's losing drawbar at the rear of the truck, and his distance only 203 feet and 4 inches.
Dave, we've got an unusual machine getting set to pull here. Tell us about this one.
Leo Kay from Bradford, Pennsylvania, is in the oil business. That's why they call it the Driller. It's a 1986 Corvette body. A year ago, he ran an 84 Chevrolet pickup truck, and this year he's gone to the Corvette body. You can see he's inside. This would be very similar to a funny car in like Top Fuel or Alcohol Funny Car in drag racing. He's running maybe the biggest motor of the class, nearly 600 cubic inch Aries aluminum block motor, and he is the Grand National Champion in this class. He edged out Chris Holdorf by just a couple of points in the 1985 NTPA point system. The distance to beat, Jeff Brockman's in the lead at 2:14. Let's see now if Leo Kay can beat it with his brand new funny car Corvette. No, he gets way up in the air. You can see the engine is setting way out in the front. He did not have a good balance of the car or the truck, however you want to call it out there. because the undercarriage of the driller is certainly beefed up. But he misses the weight badly, and that's going to cost him severely here this afternoon. Let's see if we can catch it on the replay, because all of a sudden that front end really came up. Missing the weight. There it goes, and that's just too high. You can't have it 5 feet off the ground. And now he lets it down. You can see that. I think that left front wheel might have bent just a little bit out there. Possibly both of the front tires and wheels bent a little bit.
And it comes in as a 139.5.0, a very disappointing run for Leo K.
Well, it's interesting to note that he came here to the Indy Super Bowl to begin '86 with a brand new rig, thinking that last year he was so successful with an '84 Chevy. I would have thought that maybe he would have stuck with that and then made the changes here in the next month.
Next up is Dan Biberich.
Dan Biberich driving for Jim Brockman Championship Pulling out of Decatur, Indiana. This is the sister truck with Jeff Brockman still in the lead with the International panel van. This is the 41 Dodge panel van, and this is one of the top professional teams in the country. Jeff Brockman, Dan Biberich, and of course Jim Brockman is the owner of the two trucks and the chief operator. These guys are professional pullers and are out looking for sponsorship. See what he does with the jump off the line. He's a little heavy on the nose. Now he lifts. Look at this. Look at this. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, my word. He is going to be shy of 200 feet, but he might have tied or taken the lead with that run. Dan Biberich. And the way he was gone, the way the front end was picking up, I would have thought that he'd have been down at around 215 feet, John.
He had a very smooth run going. He got the front end up just where he wants it. Here we see it on the replay. Not too high, and kept it where he wanted it, but it seemed like he died out suddenly here right in front of us.
Well, he also is running a new motor, and this is an Aries engine, and it looks like he ran out of fuel right there at the end of his run. 197, 1.7 for Dan Biberich, driving for Jim Brockman Championship Pulling.
After turning down his test pole, Chris Holdorf is now coming back.
And the distance, of course, that he made originally was 211 feet, 1.9 inches. He thinks that he can better that original distance, and he was the test puller and has this option to drop 6. Your leader is still Jeff Brockman at 214. Currently in second place is Dwayne Stowe at 208. And in third right now is Dick McPherson at 203. So Holdorf, a lot riding on this run right here. The runner-up of the Grand National Circuit in 1985. Here comes the Florida Cracker. Oh, boy. It looks good. It looks good. Oh, boy. What a run. Right down the left-hand side of the track. It's going to be close. I believe, John, that he has beat Jeff Brockman.
It looks like it from here. We'll wait for the official notice. A very smooth run. Got the front end up, picked it up, and kept it right where he wanted it. Did a nice job of transferring the weight back.
And, John, those front tires are only about 5 inches away from the out-of-bounds marker. Here it comes. Now the front end begins to pick up. A much smoother run this time. And he knew that this was going to be an awfully good pull this afternoon.
And here it is, 219.3.2, 219.3.2, and so he takes the lead, Chris Holdorf.
And he now moves ahead of Jeff Brockman by over 5 feet in the 5,800-pound two-wheel drive truck. 3 to go. It'll be Lloyd Hauser, Wayne Roush, and Mark Miller.
The excitement builds as Chris Holdorf comes out and sets a new pace for the lead, and now Lloyd Hauser is getting hooked up.
We've got 3 excellent trucks yet to run in this class. Lloyd Hauser from Maiden, North Carolina with a 1984 Chevrolet Rat engine, plenty of cubic inches. He's a professional puller, been around a long time. He knows how to read a track. He'll be followed by Wayne Roush from Ohio, and Mark Miller will be our final puller in the class from Virginia. Here we go, only 3 to run. The distance to beat, Chris Holdorf in the lead at 219 feet, 3.2 inches.
Taking a little bit of time. Now he pulls away from the starting line.
He waits a while before he gets on it. Oh, boy, look at it. All right, Now, John, I would say right now that he has almost flipped the distance between Holdorf and Brockman, but it's really going to be close now for second place. Super Rat. And Lloyd did not have a particularly good 1985, but that was a great run.
That was a good pull, and I think he's happy with it.
He is happy. He looks over at Holdorf, and he waves his hand. Holdorf is happy because he's still in the lead, and Hauser's happy because he's come close to second place.
Didn't get the front end up very high, but a very straight run. He just angled a little bit to the left side of the track. Here it is, 217.4.7. 217.4.7.
Only 2 feet off the lead of Chris Holdorf. An excellent run. He does split the distances between Brockman and Holdorf, and Lloyd Hauser moves into second place. A happy guy.
Wayne Roush will be driving the second and final Dodge machine in this class.
Well, we've had a pretty good mix of equipment here in this show. We've had a couple of Fords, International panel truck, a couple of Chevrolets, a couple of Dodges. So it's been a good mix. Also a 1986 Corvette. Wayne Roush from just down the road of the Jack Nicklaus Memorial Golf Tournament in Dublin, Ohio, on the northwest corner of Columbus, with a 1982 Dodge, a former Grand National Circuit champion in the NTPA, the little red truck, and he is running a 500 and cubic inch Keith Black racing Hemi. Now, one of the requirements is that they must pull up to a tight hitch. The chain must be tight between the transfer and the tractor or the truck that is pulling the sled, and that's exactly what he does right there. You see the green light is on the sled now, signaling that the transfer is ready to go. He gets the green flag from the starting flagman, Russell Mount of the NTPA. Here we go. Wayne Roush, the little red truck. Oh, boy! Are we in for excitement late in this class?
A terrific run for Wayne Roush. The front end came up right around 100 feet and stayed up right where he wanted it. Pulled it out, not a full pull, but out near, 220 feet, we'll say, on the guess.
This has been a dogfight as we watch the replay. Wow, Wayne Roush making a great pull as the front end comes up. Now, he carries the front end very nicely. No bouncing up and down. He's got plenty of power. He's really locked into the track. Look at that. Just a foot off the lead, 218 feet, 10.1 inches, 1 foot behind Chris Holdorf, and he moves now ahead of Lloyd Hauser, and only 2 feet separating the top 3 trucks in session 3 in the two-wheel drives.
Mark Miller is the last competitor in the class, and the leader is still Chris Holdorf at 219.3.2.
Mark Miller was the hottest two-wheel drive truck puller in the early part of 1985. Only 18 years old. Certainly our youngest competitor. Well, he and Jeff Brockman, they may be the same age. Out of Richmond, Virginia, 1985 Chevrolet Mini Brute. Now, we just talked to Holdorf here at trackside. He's worried about this guy. He says if he runs the right side, the wet side, he says, I don't think he can catch me. But if he runs the left side, which is the dry side, track is dried out slightly, he could do it. Mark Miller, last truck, here we go. Oh boy, at the last run, I believe Miller has done it. Holdorf is upset with himself. Oh boy, folks, this has been a whale of a two-wheel drive class.
What a finish. The front end came up past the 100-foot mark, between 100 and 150 feet. A little bit up and down motion in the run, but a very, very strong pull for Mark Miller.
Oh, Holdorf is on pins and needles. He was really worried. He was wiping his brow.
And there it is, 222 feet, 4.1 inches. Your winner, Mark Miller.
And he goes by Chris Holdorf by 3 feet. 222, 4.1. Holdorf will finish second at 219.3.2. Third place will go to Wayne Roush at 218.10.1. And fourth place will go to Lloyd Hauser at 217.4.7. What a finish.
That's a great finish, and we'll hear from Mark Miller.
Well, I said earlier today that he was 18 years old. He's up to 20 right now, and our youngest puller here this afternoon in the two-wheel drives. He won it, Mark Miller, out of Richmond, Virginia. This has got to be maybe the highest point of your career.
Yes, this, and back in December when the pullers voted me two-wheel drive puller of the year. That feels good.
Well, certainly you were on pins and needles running as the last truck in the class. You had seen Holdorf's distance. He was feeling pretty good, but he said if Mark runs on the wet side of the track, he says, I think I can win it. If he runs on the dry side, he says he's got a shot to beat me, and that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to see a whole lot on pull. We're back here getting weighed up, and I just come out here, put it over from where a little red truck had it at. And
now, early in 1985, you were certainly the top puller in the class of the field in two-wheel drive truck pulling. Then late in 1985, you ran into some dry spells. Did you think that you had a chance for a win here today?
Not really. I kind of lost some of my confidence. I put a little bit bigger supercharger on, and I think that's helped me a little bit.
Well, today has got to build your confidence back up.
Yeah, it does.
Congratulations, Mark Miller.
Thank you.
And now, in between classes in session 3, we'll see a little bit of action from the 51 to 60 pound class of the pedal pull. Once again, these are competitors who have won their way here in the Indiana State Fair. First one up in this class of the pedal pull will be Matthew Burton. Matt Burton from Morgantown, Indiana.
Well, you know, John, it's just important to these youngsters out here in the 51 to 60 pound range and all of the kids that have been in our pedal pull. It's important to them just like it is for the big tractor drivers and two-wheel drive and super stock pullers. Could be our future pullers in another 20 years or so. We want to, excuse me, John, we want to thank the folks from Bouts Tire of Kokomo, Indiana, Top Shop of Rossville, Indiana, and Young's Culligan of Delphi, Kokomo, for sponsoring our pedal pull. And of course, we have featured the top 12 pullers from the 12 days of the 1985 Indiana State Fair. They've all come in here for the big pull-off at Indy Super Bowl 13.
And Matt Burton, as we mentioned, is the first competitor, and he is just about ready to pull away from Morgantown, Indiana. There he goes. Tractor fits him pretty well. There go the elbows go out for a little bit of extra torque, a little bit of extra power. And there's Matt Burton's pull. And as we've mentioned, they turned the tractor around pretty quickly here in the pedal pull. And next we will see Jason Thixton from Greenfield, Indiana. He's in the saddle and ready to go. And he's away with some good speed. Oh, went over towards the right side of the track there, but he pulled it back on and keeps it going. And I believe that'll put him in the lead.
Well, you know, if your foot slips off the pedal, that's like your hand slipping off the throttle.
That's true. You lose power quickly.
Boy, you just about done right then.
So next up will be Justin Snyder from North Vernon, Indiana. So again, we have a young man who fits that tractor pretty well. Looks like he has a little bit of power to him. And off he goes.
He sort of jerked the chain there a little bit.
Yeah,
all right.
The chain wasn't quite tight.
Yeah, that's a tricky move on his part.
And that's a good pull.
Boy, he really got some leg power.
He's a stocky young man, has a lot of power to put into those pedals.
Probably be one of IU's or Purdue's football players in the years to come. He gets a big hug from Dad down there. This is exciting for the kids, and we want to give them the recognition.
Jim Porter is in the saddle now from Logansport, Indiana. Has the hat of his favorite sponsor on. We can't read it from here. Can't tell what it says. There goes Jim. He's got a lot of speed early in the pull. Up now he's starting to spin out a little bit. And that's going to do it for Jim Porter.
He's out of breath. Holy cow. He was tired at the end of that run. He says, I've never worked so hard. Look at him.
Oh, he's exhausted.
He says,
A little more for breakfast next time.
Yeah.
Jim Chambers is our next contestant from Coal City, Indiana. And he's away from the starting line. And he spins out.
Wonder how much weight they're pulling this afternoon.
I don't know.
We ought to try to find that from the guys over there that are running the sled, because they've got to be pulling, I'd say, at least 500–600 pounds.
Here comes our next contestant. We have 4 left in the 51 to 60 pound class of the pedal pull here at Indy Super Bowl.
Boy, he's really getting into it, John.
That's Brett Hine from Lebanon, Indiana.
Look at the speed of those legs.
And he spins out.
He didn't waste any time. He put the throttle down on the starting line.
Now for a little bit of equal time here, a couple of young ladies in the class. Lori Herniak first from Fowlerton, Indiana. And she's on board, and we'll get the chain tightened up. And off she goes. Looks like she got a little help from the judge getting the sled started.
Haven't had any full pulls in this class. Boy, she really gets with the program.
She's working those legs hard.
She must be on the light end of the 51 to 60 pound class. The girls have plenty of leg power. There's no question about that, but
maybe at a little bit of a disadvantage on the range of weight.
That's right.
A lot of the boys are up there closer to 60 pounds. Here comes Jane Tragesser from Kokomo. And she's got a good pull on the way. And she spins out. One more contestant, and that is Andy Cruz.
Only one more to go here in the pedal pull, and then John, get your earplugs in for this third and final class of session number 3, which will be the 7,000 pound modified tractors.
Andy climbs on board. He's from Martinsville, Illinois, so he came across the border to compete in the Indiana State Fair and earned the right to be here at the pedal pull. There goes Andy. He drifted a little bit to the right side, but kept it in bounds. It looks like that's a good pull. We don't have distances, but he may have won it with that pull. It's hard to tell from here.
Made a nice run. And we hear the engines firing up now of Jack Tedder out of Marion, Indiana. And boy, I tell you, we get ready for the monsters of the Midway, the modified dragster tractors.
And that'll wrap it up for the 51 to 60 pound class in the pedal pull.
Well, here we go. It gives us a close look as we look at this tractor close up. You'll notice the front 2 motors are hooked crank to crank. There's a clutch on the second engine. The drive shaft then goes further on back into the rear end, but the third engine, there is a drop box that goes from the back engine down into the main shaft, and of course there's a clutch on the third engine. So we're going to see some sophisticated engine combinations here this afternoon, and this may be one of the wildest classes we've ever seen in NTPA competition, the 7,000 pound modified. The Grand National champion Ronnie Reed is on deck, followed by Gardner Stone with the twin Allison. Mark Harris here from Ohio with his Allison. Barney Klaus with 3 KB Hemis. Maybe the favorite in this class, Tim Engler, who has really been coming on strong in 1985 out of Princeton, Indiana. So we've got them all here, including the famous Banner Brothers on Banner Brother Orange.
Jack Tedder tightening up the chain and getting set to go.
He's running a Banner rear end. Ralph Banner, of course, builds a lot of the rear ends and final drive assemblies for many of the pullers with 3 427 Chevrolets from Marion, Indiana, Jack Tedder.
And the front end never came off the ground on that run, maybe a little bit heavy up there. And being the test puller, of course, he'll have the opportunity to turn this pull down.
And the sled may be a little heavy. I noticed that the track officials are talking with Ron Hickson out of Scottsdale, Pennsylvania, and they're deciding whether they want to keep it at the same setting or lighten it up.
Jack is talking with members of his crew, and he really did dig up a lot of dirt. Here's the distance, 190, 190, and 3.5 inches. And we'll wait to get the official word on whether or not Jack Tedder will be back. Jack Tedder has turned down his test pull and taken the option to come right back and pull again.
John, that's the first time we've seen that used this weekend. He would have had the option of dropping 6 positions, but he doesn't want to run late in the class and be concerned about the track tearing up. These guys will really turn their tires. All of them will turn their tires at over 120 miles an hour, and those big tires become just like rototillers back there, and it'll tear up the track. So he decided he wanted to come right back to the #1 spot. Plus, the tractor had run awfully good the first time.
And his test pole was 190 feet, 3.5 inches, so we'll see if he can better that mark.
Well, they'll take it away. And I don't think he's changed it all that much. He might have gained about 5 feet out there.
And that's about it. Still did not get the front end off of the air, and I assumed that he had the opportunity to change the weight on his front end during that change up if he wanted to.
Well, we notice he's got about 2 weights hanging out in the front, and he could have moved 1 to the back. You see him bouncing a little bit. Maybe another 100 pounds on the back would have helped his pull. You want to get as much weight on the back 2 tires to get as much traction as possible.
He did come up a little bit better, 194, 9.5. 194, 9.5 for Jack Tedder, the leadoff puller in the 7,000-pound modified class. Ronnie Reed would have to be considered one of the favorites in this class.
He is the defending Grand National champion, winning not only the 7,000-pound class, but the 5,000-pound modified class as well. From Longford, Kansas, where he has a farm supply dealership, he built this tractor himself. It's running 3 8.3 Aries engines, probably the first guy to really make the Aries successful in modified pulling. Here we go, Nemesis, Ronnie Reed! Oh, boy! And that's why he's the Grand National champion. He flew out the gate. He touched the brake at about the 175-foot mark, and when he touched that brake, those disc brakes locked right up, brought him around, and that's why he's a champion puller in NTPA competition.
And he had no trouble making that full pull, even though he did drift over to the right side of the track and have to get on the brake and pull it back.
All right, John, you and I will be able to see now how close he got to the right-hand side. Oh, he was a good 7-8 feet in bounds. And he was off the line. He was flying and makes our first full pull. Incidentally, they had reset the sled before Jack Tedder made that second run, and they wanted to see one more, and we'll try to get word from trackside where they're going to be, but Ronnie Reed certainly has to be maybe the favorite of the class.
1,710 cubic inches in each of these engines.
Ronnie Reed has set the pace with a full pull, and Gardner Stone is on deck.
Well, Gardner Stone is in the beautiful Vermont, western slope of Middlebury, Vermont. And this is his new tractor as of about the last 8-9 months, and it's been very successful in 1985, and it will be tough to compete with in 86. A twin Allison, it's in twin injected and twin turbocharged, Mr. LTL, loud, tough, and lethal. And I'll tell you, he can generate something around 5,000 horsepower with this. Now, he did very well the other night in the 9,000-pound class on Thursday evening. I mean, a lot of the drivers are talking in the pit area that he could be tough here in the 7. This could be his best class. He needs a full pull to tie, though. Here he comes, Gardner Stone. John, I got a hunch that if he'd had an opportunity to rerun that he would have taken 100 pounds off the front and moved it to the back. He just never picked up the front end of that, and he's going to fall about 20 to 25 feet short of a full pull here this afternoon.
And here it comes on the replay, and as Dave said, you'll see that the front wheels, I don't know if they even did ever get on. They're bouncing a little bit.
They bounced a couple times, but not the way that you have to. You got to take chances in some of these classes.
And so it's a steady pull, and it's pretty much right down the middle of the track. And it comes up a 212, 9.7 for Gardner Stone. Norm Smith is next up from Versailles, Ohio, with the Arius engines.
He is driving the J&H pulling team owned by John Shaw out of Fultonham, New York. And Norm Smith, one of the top professional drivers in the United States. He's driven for numerous teams, including Ron Bargy, Jim Wilson, the Banner brothers, and does a lot of driving for John Shaw. John will be driving later on this weekend in the 12,000-pound Unlimited with his 4-engine tractor. Here goes the Northeast Raider with 3 Aries engines. It needs the full side. Well, John, I don't know about you, but this building is rocking and rolling and vibrating this afternoon. The horsepower is unbelievable.
Extremely close to a full pull. He's over there on the right-hand side of the track. I don't think he quite made it. It doesn't look like it from here, but we don't have the best angle on it either. Here it comes on the replay, and we will see the front end get up a little bit. He's taking a little bit of weight off of that front end. He's been watching what's been going on.
It came up. Norm was pushing that left brake, trying to bring it around. He certainly lost some RPMs and some horsepower near the end. At 228 feet at 2 inches, 228 and 2, he does, however, move into second place.
Now on deck, Mark Hare from Springfield, Ohio, with a single Allison engine.
Well, this is an injected motor. We saw Mark run earlier in the 9,000-pound modified class, and at this point, he's probably going to be somewhat shy of horsepower compared to some of the other tractors like Ronnie Reed and Norm Smith of the J&H pulling team that we've seen. However, the best thing that he can do is take a chance, try to bring that front end up, make a smooth pull right down the center of the track so that he doesn't have to pull the sled back and forth across the track. Mark Hare is a fine puller from the Buckeye State. Springfield, Ohio's Hare's Booker, Mark Hare. And I think that Mark probably made just about as good a pull as he's going to make there as some of the alcohol burns off. That Allison engine, a 1,710 cubic inch motor that was used in World War II, and we've seen a number of them here so far in this presentation.
The good straight pull. Here it comes on the replay. Not a lot of motion from right to left. He had a lot of good tire speed built up, and once again we can see the tires wrinkling up, so we know there's a lot of stress there, and just doesn't have that horsepower that a lot of the other competitors here have. 174, 11.5 is the distance for Mark Hare. And next up, Barney Klaus. From Belton, Missouri, kind of a crowd favorite on Barney's Rose. Here comes Barney Klaus.
Well, Barney, as we mentioned in previous shows, is pulled all over the country. They call it Barney's Rose, running 3 kV heavy. Stops from us about 25 to 30 feet away, and the noise, John, is deafening here at trackside. He doesn't seem to be very pleased at all with those 3 426 Keith Black Hemis. As we watch it on replay, he's a rose grower from just south of Kansas City. Now he comes up. Now at that point, he's got to touch the brakes, and every time you touch him, you lose wheel speed, you lose horsepower, and there wasn't much left in his run.
And Barney Klaus pulls away, not looking really very happy with that run, as it's a 183 and 8/10 of an inch. 183 and 8/10, and Barney has had better days.
Our leader is still Ronnie Reed. Currently in second place is Norm Smith on the J&H pulling team Northeast Flyer, and in third place is Gardner Stone at 212 feet, 9.7 inches.
Jack Tedder, who tested 2 weight settings on the sled, has dropped 6 positions and now comes back for his official pull.
Well, this is now his 3rd run of the afternoon in this class. And sometimes that'll happen, John, when you're a test puller. They went through 2 settings, then he didn't like the pull that he made on the 2nd setting, so he dropped 6 positions. So Jack Tedder out of Marion, Indiana, needs a full pull if he wants to tie Ronnie Reed. As we indicated before, the Banner rear end with the 427 Chevrolets, 3 of them, got to be looking somewhere at about 3,000 to 3,500 horsepower. Green light is on. Here we go. He powers out right about the 196-foot mark, 195 or 196, and he doesn't seem very pleased as well. But I think he got all of it out of the tractor that he's going to get.
Drifted a little bit to the left-hand side of the track. In fact, he's here very close to us right now. You can see on the replay now he's drifting to the left, and he dug up a lot of dirt with the front of that sled, dug a pretty good trench.
It's harder to pull the transfer when you've got all that dirt piled up in front of it.
And interestingly enough, this pull was a 194 9.5. 194 9.5. And his test pull on the second weight sled weight was a 194 9.2, so he increased 0.3 of an inch with that pull.
All right, now this may be the hottest modified tractor in the world today. Later on this season, he will add a 5th motor. We may see it tomorrow in the 12 Unlimited. Right now, he has 4 Aries, and you'll notice that the back 2 engines are setting crosswise in the tractor, setting transversely like some of the automobile engines in a car. That all goes into one gearbox right in front of the driver. You've got to be looking at right here, 8,000 horsepower. He needs a full pull if he wants to tie Ronnie Reed, the 1985 NTPA Modified Puller of the Year, Tim Engler. Out of the left engine. He had fire flames coming out of the left bank on the second motor, but it was still good enough, and he ties Ronnie Reed, and we will go into overtime in this class, John. Simply amazing.
What a pull. He got away from the starting line and had a lot of power early, and there was never any doubt. He didn't even have to pick the front end up very high. He got it up a little bit. Here it is on replay.
Oh, this guy's a professional. In his lifetime, he's built about 7 tractors for himself and has built about another 8 tractors for other people. He's a professional tractor builder, and he builds winners. Mission Impossible Tim Engler with a full pull, and he ties Ronnie Reed.
Our next competitor is another candidate for the pull-off, John Heilman from Rockford, Ohio.
Well, John is running 3 of the 500 cubic inch Rodec engines. Here again, it's another aluminum block motor similar to the Aries. These are specially designed racing engines that are used in drag racing and other forms of racing. And one of the nice things about running an aluminum block motor is it can be repaired if you put a hole in the side or have other damage to it. But they cost a lot more than the cast iron Chevrolets that we'll see at the Banner Brothers in just a moment. John Heilman, as we said, one of the top champions of modified bowling. Here we go. He went for the right corner, and oh, there's problems out there. Something happened. We saw something backfire off that middle motor, and there is smoke coming out of the exhaust stacks. John Heilman, who's been a 3-time Grand National champion in the 7 modified, and his family, the Heilman family, was the 1985 NTPA Family of the Year. And of course, this sport so much geared toward the families traveling with the pullers. Of course, John Heilman in 1986 will have a 2-wheel drive truck coming out. Here we watch him on replay. Got to bouncing a little bit out there. Now he really drifts to the right, and he was pumping the brakes pretty hard. He doesn't come up all that short, though, and that's going to put him in 3rd place at 221, 9.7.
The pulse always quickens a little bit when Dave Banter hooks up to the sled and gets ready to pull.
Well, the dynamic duo of the Banner Brothers, David in the driver's seat, Ralph, who builds the tractors, and I tell you, they've been 13 times Grand National Circuit champions, probably the most recognized championship pullers in NTPA. However, Tim Engler and Bruce Hutcherson really coming on strong the last couple of years. They normally don't do all that well in the 7, but they'll give everybody a run for their money today, running 4 of the 427 Chevrolets. Here we go, Dave Banner. Eat my words on that one, and I'm sure Ralph Banner will come and say, hey, we do well in the 7.
Well, he did what he had to do with that pull, and he got it looks like he got the full pull. should put him into the pull-off. Here it is on the replay.
You will see a big gap right in front of the driver, Dave Banter. That's where they'll add the 5th motor on Sunday afternoon for the 12 Open, and boy, they get it out by just a couple of feet. Now, they may be under horsepowered a little bit right there, but as I said earlier in the broadcast, they'll never be out-engineered.
And it is official. Full pull for Dave Banter, and so now we have Ronnie Reed, Tim Engler, and Dave Banter all waiting for the pull-off.
And you can see Banter looking over his left shoulder and saying, did I get it out? He did.
We have 4 competitors left in the 7,000-pound modifieds, and now hooking up to the sled and getting ready to make his run is Russ Jansen.
Well, Russ and Carol Jansen are just 2 of the very special people on the NTPA circuit, and Russ is always there, bending the throttle, running 4 of the 496 Chevrolets in the chassis that he and Carol and their crew built from Oregon, Illinois. Russ Jansen, the Black Hawk Special, giving it all he's got. John, you will notice, and it sounds like he's got some engine problems, you will notice that there was no weight on the front of the tractor. In other words, he had no option. He ran heavy on the nose because he had no weight to move to the rear. There are no 100-pound weights on the front of the tractor, so he had to live with that run. And you'll notice that the front end was pretty much glued to the track.
All the way down, all the way through the whole run.
I think if he could have got that front end to lift, then he might have added another 20 feet to his pull.
It's going to be very close to 200 feet. There it is. It's a 197. 197, 9.2 for Russ Jansen.
I think he's a little concerned about his engines in that picture.
Sonny Owens from Harwood, Maryland is driving the only Ford engine in the class today.
That's exactly right, and boy, he's got a lot of Chevys against him here today. Now, these are 3 604 cubic inch Ford Hemi motors, but the biggest engine that Ford would make. Sonny Owens, and looks like the fatherly figure up there in the seat, but boy, this guy can push the throttle down. And a great gentleman of this fine sport. Sonny Owens, the Harwood honker. He has another tractor with an Allison aircraft engine in it. And he comes close, going to be a couple feet short, maybe another 100 pounds of weight to the back, but he was able to hold that power.
Just what I was thinking, Dave. I noticed as he went by, he had several weights on the front of the tractor, and the front end didn't get up. But had he transferred some to the back, maybe he'd have gotten a few more feet.
Now, this tractor, similarly to the Norm Smith J&H pulling team, it's a staircase fashion on the engines as we watch on the replay. He didn't have too many problems handling the tractor, but there's a clutch on each motor. A clutch on each engine, and these are centrifugal clutches, is what they call a Crower glide clutch. And he applies the throttle, the RPMs, as more RPMs come out of the engine, it locks up the clutch.
And it's a 221 4.8 for Sonny Owens, and that won't do it as we have 3 people waiting to get into the pull-off. Two competitors left in the class. John Walsh from Boston, Wisconsin is getting hooked up.
All right, John, he will be running the same motors that Ronnie Reed and Tim Engler have run. So if it holds true, these areas could be the dominating motor here today. John Walsh out of Wisconsin, turning it loose. He almost came right toward our table. He kept it in bounds, pushing the brakes really down. He was pumping that right brake.
And he really chewed up a lot of dirt here at the end of the track as he was trying to pull and pull for those extra few feet. It's hard to say whether he pulled it across or not. It looks like he might not have.
All right, let's watch this. Now he starts going to the left-hand side. He's really pumping the brakes. They've got good disc brakes on there. Knocks down the 200-foot mark. And this is going to be close. Remember, a full pull is 234 feet. No, he's going to be shy at 229, 11.8. He's 5 foot short. Well, just a little less than that, about 4 foot short, actually. Tough break for John Walsh.
Ronnie Reed, Tim Engler, and Dave Banter await for their pull-off, and there's one more gentleman who has hopes of joining them.
Young Tad Will out of Central City, Pennsylvania, with his injected Allison. We saw not only Tad pull yesterday, but Willard, his dad, pull as well. There's the Tinker toy. They have this single injected engine, and then, of course, they have their twin as well. One of the top pulling teams on the East Coast. They've won just about every point championship in the state of Pennsylvania. His dad, Willard, used to be the president of the Pennsylvania Tractor Pullers Association. Here we go. Tad Will. John, almost a perfect run. I mean, the only thing that they lacked was a full pull, but you can't knock that run at all. A good pull for Tad Will right down the center of the track.
Nice job of driving the tractor. He's got that single Allison engine, and as we've noticed with that setup, the pull he got is just about what you can expect from that setup.
Well, the entire Will family likes to travel around the country as we watch the re-pull here, the replay rather, and he lifted a little bit, made a good pull.
176, 6.4, 176, 6.4 for Tad Will, and so we go to the pull-off featuring Ronnie Reed, Tim Engler, and Dave Banter. Pull-off is set to start. The first one, Ronnie Reed.
This is for all the marbles job. We've got the 3 top modified tractors in the country in this class. Reed, Engler, and Banner brothers going head-to-head. It'll be the 3 motors of Reed against the 4 of the other 2 drivers. Here we go. Nemesis, Ronnie Reed on his way. That's going to be a tough one to beat. Excellent pull for Ronnie Reed, and that's one of the nice positions of pulling first in the pull-off. You're going to let it all hang out. They're really tearing up the track now.
I think there's still dirt coming down out of the air.
There is. He is really throwing it up into the air. Nemesis, which is the Greek god of vengeance, the name of his tractor.
And he's taking vengeance on the rest of the class here. He's gotten into the pull-off with a full pull and a nice strong pull on this one right down the center of the track. No problems. Here it is. It's a 202, 3.2. 202, 3.2 for Ronnie Reed.
That's the distance to beat. Engler up next.
Tim Engler is up and backing up to the sled, getting ready to pull. All 3 of these gentlemen will be assured of a place in the winner's circle, but it remains to be seen who's going to be the winner.
Oh, this is sheer class. I tell you, a great tractor. He's got all the right ingredients. He's a cool driver. Nothing really rattles Tim Engler. We've seen him come late in the class to win in the first round. We've seen him win a lot of pull-offs. This guy's can do it, no question about it. Now, certainly he's one of the favorites here, he and Banners, but they've got a long way to go to beat Ronnie Reed. He's on it. He is moving. Another full pull, and he shakes and rattles the building. Spectacular. 2 full pulls for Engler. He waves to the crowd. They love him here in his home state of Indiana. He is excited.
Mission impossible indeed. He came out here and jumped on it again with
John,
a heavier sled.
I believe that the feeling just went through him as we watched the replay that he thinks he's got this one in the bag. He says, let the Banner brothers try to catch me now.
And you can guarantee it that the Banner brothers are planning to do just that. Tim Engler with a full pull. Dave Banter has to have a full pull to force this into another pull-off. This is a great way to see the class in.
Isn't this, though? This has been a spectacular session of pulling here at Indy Super Bowl 13. Now, I don't know what tricks he has in his bag, but he's got to pull them out right now. Whether he'll drop the hammer quick, he may be slightly under horsepower compared to Engler's Aries. But we've seen Dave Banter time after time come from late in the class and win it. So Engler leads with 2 full pulls. Reed's currently second at 2:02.3.2. And here go the legendary Banter brothers on their way. He lights them up. A little trouble coming off the line. Now he's moving. No, he got over to the left-hand side. He had to work the brake, and he's going to come up about 55 feet short. Tim Engler has won the 7,000-pound modified at Indy Super Bowl for 1986.
And I think Dave Banter knew it just as soon as he went to the left-hand side of the track. He gave it a shot, but I think he knew he wasn't going to get the job done. You can see him come back towards the middle of the track on the replay, but there's just no way.
And John, what's going through his mind right now, he says, I'm going to get Engler in the 12,000-pound unlimited, or at least I'm going to try.
And the pull comes in at 195.5.5. And so in the class, Tim Engler wins it. Ronnie Reed will come in second with his pull of 2:02.3.2 in the pull-off, and Dave Banter in third place.
Well, as they play the strains of the Indiana song in the background, I'm here with the winner of the 7,000-pound modified class this afternoon, Tim Engler from his home state of Princeton, Indiana. Tim, you feel good, don't you?
I sure do, Dave. It's a great thrill to come here and win, and we've got a new tractor. It was just everything worked perfect for us, and I couldn't ask for anything better.
All right. When you made the second full pull, I saw you wave to the crowd up there. You knew you had it then, didn't you?
Well, not really. I saw my parents and family up in the crowd, my wife. It was just a good thrill to win in front of them, because usually when they're around, we don't do very good. So it was really a big thrill to come here with a new vehicle and do real well.
One of the great 7,000-pound modified classes you've ever pulled in, I presume.
Oh, I'd have to say so. I think probably there was maybe a couple tractors that wasn't here, but should have maybe been here, but it's really one of the best by far I think we've ever pulled in.
Well, congratulations. We're going to see you back later on then in the weekend.
Yeah, we're going to be running tonight in a 5 modified and tomorrow in the 11,000-pound class.
And will you add the 5th motor when you go to the 11?
Yes, we will.
That is going to be a knockdown drag-out affair with the Banter brothers and Tim Engler. We look forward to that show. Congratulations, Tim Engler.
Thank you very much.